Michael Mays, Psycho Black. Action activates.
And this cup is empty. I have 3 empty cups. Anyway, I am Gazbot, and with me, as always,
Big Dawg Defender.
Welcome to Action Activate here. I literally have 3 cups, and none of them have anything in them, so that's fantastic. I thought
were you going to try to do some like sipping the coffee intro kind of deal?
No, well, maybe, but I like to have a beverage while I'm chatting with you all, and
don't know what that's like.
Yeah, I thought this had some leftover coffee in it, and then I saw 2 others. Like, well, one of those. It's
my reaction to you not having a beverage.
I do a pretty good Jim Unhappy face, I think. But anyway, we're here today talking about Power Rangers Dino Fury, episode 17. Our hero. Now, we had skipped a week of reviews of Dino Fury and worked on some Crimson Vision and Nerdbot Indie Toku stuff, which we will get back to because we didn't cover all their stuff that's come out. But we want to come back to Dino Fury. And we had kind of not been looking forward to this episode. And we originally thought this episode came right after the introduction of the Gold Ranger, but then we were like, oh no, there is an actual, one where they clear up all the back history, and we reviewed that one. And they're like, oh, and we didn't love that one. So we're like, this one, we even are looking forward to even less, because that was like the good one, supposedly. That being said, basic impressions, first impressions, overall, whatever.
Bad.
Oh, hold on. Let me mute this. I didn't mean to make that. We're going to get a copyright strike for this.
Everything that we complain about in episodes, even episodes we do like, were all featured in this episode.
I don't 100% disagree with you, but I like this episode more than you did already.
Yeah.
I like it better than the last episode, even though the last episode...
don't even a little bit.
I think part of it is that it didn't have the expectation that the last episode had to be like the big introduction of the Sixth Ranger and explain the backstory and all that. So that the pressure was off. This is just a regular episode. So that gave it some leeway. But yeah, I thought it was fine to good. All right. Well, let's get into. There are parts I did not like quite a bit. I'll give you my first.
I'm gonna be doing that a lot. Somebody on the bottom in the comments do a Jim counter, because every time I have that feeling, I will bring him on the screen to kind of encapsulate that.
I will say this. My first nitpick. They're introducing Ion. Also, I saw the spelling of his name. I always thought it was Ion, but it's like A-Y. It's like an alien name as opposed to a scientific term.
Yeah.
But my first nitpick is with the, I guess, set designer or set dresser or whoever it is, because they're like, let's make they're making a sandcastle and he's learning about the beach. That's all fine. This is all normal stuff. But they have the perfect sandcastle, complete with shells that don't look like they're on that beach. They don't have a single tool. They don't have the little mold. They don't have a shovel. What? Like, I'll believe they could build that, but you need tools. And those shells, it's just too. And it's also that thing which they do with any type of art. You see this all the time where it's like a painting, and the actor who's not a painter is like, all done. It's that same thing where they're like, there we go. So that is a supreme nitpick. But as soon as I saw that, I'm like, that's the nicest sandcastle I've ever seen, and they built it with nothing.
He also has pants on, which I guess we'll chalk up to he doesn't understand Earth culture yet.
I've worn pants to the beach, so I can't really.
I 100% believe that, and you didn't even need to tell me, and I could have guessed.
I've worn combat boots to the beach, so
while playing in the sand.
Yeah. I mean, I was old enough that I don't know what you consider playing. It wasn't like a little kid, but
if you're building a sandcastle at the beach, were you wearing pants and/or combat boots? That is a hard no. You
No,
don't even have to
no.
think about it. It was a hard
No.
no.
No, you're right. Because even if I wore those things to the beach, I would have kicked off the combat boots by the time I was working on a
Yep. Check minus.
Um,
Keep going.
So yeah, I that was my first note. Deluxe Castle, no tools. My next note is they're talking about ice cream, and that we know this about the ice cream, and he becomes a hero, and whatever. And this is not for Power Rangers. This is just a general nitpick or whatever. We'll get into. Let me pause here because I know we're gonna have things to. Sorry, I'm doing a mess. Everybody. I know we're gonna have things to say about the J-Borg scene. I'm gonna give myself a one shot. It's not as much of a rant as the normal Big Dog stuff, but he had never tried ice cream before. And Zato was like, oh man, you got to try it. A couple days after I was here, or weeks or whatever, I had some and it was delicious and it was great and I loved it. Fine, except what bothers me is that he's an alien. They're both aliens from another planet. And they should have completely different taste buds. And it's this thing that you see all the time in pop culture where it's like, oh, and then the alien, you got to try pizza. Oh, like all the food that we think is amazing and great, they agree. It should have, like, I prefer sometimes like when they don't do that. Like there's this old show Alien Nation where they like rotten milk because it tasted good, and like Klingons like prune juice a lot, and Star Trek, but like generally it's like, oh, they like the same things we do. And I don't know why they always do that. Like, why does it have to be ice cream? It would have been way funnier if he's like, you know what, pickles are the best thing I've ever eaten. Like, just something a little bit more unusual.
Yeah.
That's all. But that pales in comparison to what comes next. And Big Dog, you want to talk about what comes next?
So I know you didn't mention it, but it bugs you when they're perfectly formed scoops every time.
Yes.
It scenes like this that make me want these characters not in the show.
I'm on board. I defended them and supported it for a long time. Here's why I'm on board. Well, the comedy is very hit and miss, to be nice about it. But they have multiple episodes that they're not in at all.
Yeah.
Which proves that they don't need to be in it. For a while, it was set up like she was this tough boss, and the characters are crazily inconsistent. J-Borg's more consistent than Jane, but Jane was like this, like, no-nonsense boss, and then she's their friend, and then she's a reporter that has to get the story at any cost, and then she's a goofball that doesn't care, and like, it's the most inconsistently written character, and they just disappear for episodes at a time. So it's very clear neither one of them need to be in the show, and the comedy is not necessary. So I hate to say agree, but I at this point agree. They should just not be in the show at all.
Plot hole that's going to bug you, but actually bugged me a little bit. So J-Borg has feelings and can taste.
The feelings thing they've addressed before, and again, it's like, okay, why? Like,
well, I meant physical feelings.
Yes. Well, physical feelings make sense. I've given up on the technology. Like, how does this still exist? But the physical feelings makes sense because if she has to interact with the world, she needs sensors of some sort. Like Commander Data on Star Trek, he didn't necessarily feel pain, but he registered, oh, there's damage, and like you need to have a certain amount of awareness. So maybe they want to make her more human, whatever. But and even taste buds, I could be okay with, except for a line they say where she's like, hey, Jane's like, have some ice cream. J-Borg says, my manual says I shouldn't. So two problems here. Jane, again, who has seen her malfunction and do all kinds of crazy things with bubblegum and whatever else, is like, well, whatever, just have it. It'll be fine. Should know it won't be fine. And J-Borg, okay, she overrides her manual. But going back to what you said, if her manual says don't eat food or don't eat ice cream or whatever it says, that means she's not designed to eat it. If she's not designed to eat it, then why can she taste it? I'll even go a step further, and just like with the feeling, okay, maybe there's some analytical, like there's reasons where sometimes you might need to taste something and be able to identify it. That's a stretch, but okay. But she goes, and loves it so much, she's like, oh, that's too much. That's too much. All of this, though, still not my biggest problem with this whole beginning is actually not good.
Terrible. First 3 minutes are the worst part of the entire episode.
I'll agree with that. I do think it gets better. So she eats it, and then she starts freaking out. Now, do you know what a Rube Goldberg machine is? Are you familiar with that term?
I've heard the term. I don't remember.
Okay, the Rube Goldberg machine is what we're going to see kind of a terrible version of. She gets the brain freeze, which makes her fall. All the dominoes fall, hits that, somehow flips over that, and it's going towards the girl, and she can't hear it because she has headphones on, and it's going down a hill. Like, all these things, that's a really, really bad version of a Rube Goldberg machine.
So it's just a giant domino effect for a
And
thing.
Rube Goldberg is the name of the cartoonist who's like credited as coming up with this concept. And where I saw it a lot when I was a kid was old Tom and Jerry reruns. You would see this a lot. Or Wile E. Coyote. You would see like, I'm going to do all this stuff, and at the end, this thing happens. And it's a funny thing to do in cartoons, but in real life, this was like a physical representation of what you see in action movies and things like that a lot. Where like, oh, he jumped off the roof and he grabbed a wire, and then that wire snapped and he fell into a mattress and bounced off, and there was the gun. And like, it's like, but that's so quick, you're like not really thinking about it and stuff. But it's like if any one of those things didn't work, and that's what this was. So Jayborg had to malfunction in such a way that she fell over onto Jane, who was standing next to a domino effect, and all of those people had to fall. It couldn't just be, and then the cart had to be hit hard enough to go over like it was just too much. It was so ridiculous. And it made me think of the scene in Mighty Morphin
with the introduction of the 3 new Rangers.
Yes,
Yep,
and that was ridiculous, but this was more ridiculous because that was more protracted and took a long time, and it was silly. Again, a lot of the silly stuff early on, just like I give a pass because that was like the 90s and it was a brand new show. Like it's not something you necessarily want to replicate. But also my recollection was that sort of the thing got knocked out of her hand and it went down a hill. It wasn't like 15 steps to get it to go down the hill. That's the part that bothers me, not the fact that it's out of. And actually, to be fair, the way Ion stops it is kind of cool, where he jumps on it and why'd this get small? Hold on. He jumps on it and he like uses the. Oh, I skipped it. Right here, he jumps on, he pulls the thing off, and he uses it as like a drag. You know, I thought that was cool. To be fair. But it never.
I think it would have been cooler since we were ridiculous mode already. I thought he was going to take out the umbrella. And I'm like, oh, cool. He's going to use the wind to steer it away. And then he just planted it in the ground kind of. I was like, I didn't like that as much.
I guess if you were going hey, it's so ridiculous, let's make it more ridiculous. And I was appreciating that was like a somewhat realistic way to handle it.
I still don't think so. Have you ever tried to do something like that?
To stop a runaway cart going down a hill with
stop something with wheels with a stationary object?
I don't know that I have, but I also
it doesn't work well.
Okay, fair in the real world. But this is where I try to not be too hard on him. He's a ranger. We've established through multiple continuities that Rangers have heightened abilities even when they're not morphed. So maybe he's strong enough that he could do it. Well, I'll agree to disagree because we definitely have seen Rangers have heightened abilities even when they're not morphed.
Agree with that. I think this scene I didn't like it regardless.
Yeah. I like that Javi was the good guy. The guy, the little cart man's like, you got a free ice cream for life, which seems a bit excessive. It's not like he's Baskin Robbins or something. He's like, we got like 8 things in that cart. You're going to go bankrupt. But of course, Ion being new to the world is like, oh yeah, immediately I'll take all the ice cream I could get. It's awesome. It sets it up. Like, honestly, I thought I wasn't gonna like this episode because of the morality play that they're gonna have Ion do some bad. Like, that didn't really bother me. It kind of worked fine. It's the standard way they always do this stuff, and like it wasn't amazing, but it was fine. The Jayborg thing in the beginning, that was terrible. I don't know.
Like the two of them sitting next to each other and him trying to like do his weird little kid version of impressing the girl he likes.
Yeah. You know, I've been to Egypt. It was just Sam though. You live in Coast. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Precisely that.
That was funny. Then this guy shows up. What's his name? Trawler, I think it is. Trawler. Yeah.
Australian ship monster.
I like him. The arms and legs are like okay, but the body ship thing I think is really cool. Let me get a good shot of him. Also, the voice sounded very familiar to me, and I looked it up. Do you know who it was?
Jeffrey Dolan?
No, that was somebody who I thought though, but no, it was. Let me get. I actually pulled up the IMDb page. If I could get it here. Stop you. You see, I try to get like visual aids ready, and then it just makes things take longer. It's all right. Here we go. All right, forget it. I'm not gonna pull it up. The actor's name is Mark Wright, but we would better know him as General Burke from Beast Morphers.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Apparently, he's done a lot of voice acting too. He did a bunch of different characters in a bunch of different seasons, which is why I wanted to pull that up. But General Burke is the voice, and so that I couldn't tell you who he was, but I'm like, I know that guy, and I don't even know if I know him from Burke or from one of the other monsters he's done. But that was Let me just close these tabs out because they're just gonna mess me up later. What did you think of the design of the character?
I thought the design was cool. The skeletal part was a little
That was the
interesting.
part that I thought it was not as well done.
Well, that was the thing. Is like the more I looked, the more I'm like, I don't fully get it.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
okay.
I think it looked like it was a really
Busy.
high quality torso and like mediocre arms and legs.
Yeah,
I guess.
very busy.
Yeah. So, but they can't. Oh, he gets the ice cream knocked out of his hand. Ion does.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Don't worry, I have free ice cream for life." Underscoring that thing again. That again, he's gonna like take advantage of it to some degree.
Yeah.
And then they can't morph there, so they run.
Which
into
is a dumb thing. I hate this. They morph in public so often that this being the only time they don't, I'm like, oh my. Can we just quit it? Just be Rangers already.
Also, there's people on the beach. They're worried they might see them. Wouldn't they see all of them run into the tents, light come out, and then all of them
every part about this, I'm like,
I will say the only thing I liked about it is forgetting about the inconsistencies with other episodes and things like that, is that it was a very Superman morph. Like back in the day, Superman would always run into a phone booth or whatever to change. And so that was kind of fun that way, taken in isolation, but given the context of the show and the season, it's a little silly.
Yeah.
The next thing I had a note about, I had the word news, because they're having their fight, and it's a very whatever fight. It's fine. It's nothing great. It's nothing terrible. But Jane and Jayborg are there because they were getting their ice cream and then they fell down and all that stuff. And it goes back to the inconsistency of the character, where like the way she delivers it, and actually I think it's kind of a fun line read for the actress right there. News, like it's kind of funny, but it just is like, that doesn't seem like the same character.
I feel like they spin the wheel and they have these two characters and they go, who are they filling in for today? And this episode is Bulk and Skull. And a different episode is one of the generals that the Rangers work for. And another episode is Ernie. And another episode is like all these like previous kind of roles that we've seen in Power Rangers. And they're like, and you get to be all of them, kind of, but not really. But sometimes
you're not there at all.
Yeah.
And it bothers me less, even though Jayborg has a lot more of the terrible jokes, it bothers me less with Jayborg because she's this weird robot that doesn't understand things. So it's like, okay, she's going to be inconsistent. That's fine. But Jane like had a defined character at some point, and it just is all over. Like it seems like she's like, if this was a real person, I'd be like, are you having a nervous breakdown, or like,
are you doing okay?
What's going on? Yeah, do you want to talk to somebody?
Are you sleeping?
Yeah, like something's going on, man. Like serious. Like
this episode, she's delirious from 2 days of no sleep, and you're like, wow, why are you trying to destroy your cyborg? And you're very enthusiastic about getting this dangerous news story on your phone. Cool beans.
Yeah, it's a bit much. It's a bit much. So they do rush in, and Gold Ranger saves some people, and they run in to get picks, and the rest of the Rangers are fighting Trawler, and that's when we see.
Oh, okay. So I'm looking at his thing now. I think that's supposed to be like a lobster claw.
Oh, hold on, me.
Oh. Now that you zoomed in on it.
Yeah, sorry. Hold on. Okay.
That kind of looks like a lobster claw.
So you think it's like crustacean pieces?
Yeah, maybe that's what the white is.
Let me see. I mean, that would make more sense shape-wise. Like the white, you're right, made me think of a bone, but
or it's just a hook. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's hard to tell.
So the other thing we need to point out is the monster shoots a net on everybody.
Yes.
And one thing I hate in general is the net trope. It's just a pet peeve of mine. I understand that it is a necessary evil. I just don't love it.
Yeah, I don't love it. I wish he had other powers, and later on he does show that he could pop up and down. But does he ever shoot like his cannon or anything? I don't remember.
Only in the Megazord fight.
Okay. I don't mind nets as much as you seem to, but I don't like it as his primary attack.
I don't like nets that we see most often where it's a net was shot on them and now they are incapacitated.
Like, oh, what can we do? Well, I agree, but I guess I took it as because he's like magic.
Took it as a magic net.
Yeah, that it's like draining their power and keeping them down. Like it wasn't a net that like Bulk and Skull found and threw on someone. It's like generated by him. So I was okay with it.
Then
but
put a
while
bad CG effect of like energy, and then I'll accept that.
yes, well, yeah, I'm reading between the lines and making up headcanon, that's for sure. But
You're doing a lot of apologizing this episode.
well, it's because I think I came into it liking it a lot more than you, and now I'm like, yeah, well,
I'm like, this thing is something I didn't like. You're like, I also didn't like it, but I really like them. Like they mean well.
Yeah. We see Ion though getting a big head, not just about the free ice cream, but like the pictures and the attention on the hero, and he's neglecting his team. She's like, "Oh, we took a lot of pictures or whatever," and he makes the joke, "Oh, you could say it's a gold rush," and I know that was the title of an episode. What?
That was Antonio's catchphrase.
He didn't say gold rush necessarily.
I think he did a couple times.
But I was trying to remember if that was the name of his episode, like when he came in. I know I could look this up, but it was just like, why, like, was that in, like, I couldn't tell if it was an intentional callback to another Gold Ranger who was actually gold, or if it was just like them making a joke. But again, he says this when he looks like a yellow and blue Ranger in this picture, no gold.
So Gold Rush was season 1, episode 8 of Power Rangers Ninja Steel.
That was okay. So that was what I didn't know. Good call. I didn't know if it was Samurai or Ninja Steel is what I was going to say. And it was one of those. So that may have been an intentional callback or not, but it bothered me that he said Gold Rush when he was looking the least gold he looks, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, all the Rangers get netted up, and then he's like, "Oh, I officially have no time to talk to you, citizens. Let me go help things."
But this is where I start liking things. So I want to point out something I like, right? Because this makes the Jay Borg and Jane stuff more egregious, in my opinion. One of the things I think this episode did well, aside from Jane and Jay Borg, is humor. I think there was a lot of good jokes.
There was a lot of good subtle humor.
Yes. And it starts here because he throws the net on them, and Javi's like, "Oh yeah, you got us, but we're a team. You think this taking us out this one net is enough, whatever?" And then he throws it net on the rest of the team, and he goes, "Okay, that'll do it."
Yep,
like, that's funny. That I thought that was quite amusing. Yeah, right here. He's like you give him see, that'll do it. Like even the body language of the suit actor was great. So that makes the Jane and Jay Borg stuff even worse because it's not an episode that was super heavy where they needed to inject some levity. It's an episode where everybody's doing humor well already. So.
And it's not forced.
No. But you were okay, but you had already moved past that where you were saying
now all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I gotta hurry up and help the team," and then he slices all the nets and does all the things.
Yeah, he powers up to like fire mode and
another thing. This is a ship. I'm assuming there's aquatic powers with this ship. Why are we going fire mode?
It's not like we just made a point about that last episode.
Or 2 episodes ago.
Okay, but still, it's not like they just did that. Yeah, I would think electricity would work better, to be honest, against water. Again, because we just saw that happen.
Pokemon.
But yeah, Pokemon. And it was weird seeing him with the fire armor because we'd seen him with the electric armor previously.
Yeah, I did like that multiple people are now getting to wear that armor, but yeah, I'm like, okay. I was waiting for it to be like fizzled out where it's like, "Oh, your firepower didn't work." He's like, "Oh, what am I gonna do? If only I had a whole nother armor that might work."
Well, I feel like what usually happens is the 6th Ranger wouldn't use it. It would be all the other Rangers because you see this all the time where the 6th Ranger comes in and they're more powerful and they have some kind of crazy power-up weapon, and then the rest of the Rangers get their power-up and now they're a little bit more even. So it's weird that he just shows up and like also could use that power-up. Looking at his hand now, it looks like a fork or a claw, like a mechanical claw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe that's supposed to be his anchor
or like a rake.
Yeah, but these pieces down here do look like crustacean, like spines and stuff. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I wonder if the name he's called Crawler. What?
I'm more confused the more we look at him.
I wonder if there's like a Sentai name that like explains it more. Like he's the bonefish ship or something like really obvious or whatever. But so then Mucus shows up and recruits him, as will happen. The next piece of jokey business that I enjoyed is Ion's like, "Yeah, we did it. Awesome job." And they're all yelling at him like, "Come on, man, you didn't do a good job." And then he puts his hand up to Zato and is like, "Come on, we got it, right? Fist bump." And
No
Zeto's like,
fist bump for you.
no fist bump for you. Yeah. Again, I like that joke. When
Yeah.
when Zato is done well, Zato is very funny because he's
Yes.
so understated and stuff, and like the actor delivers the lines very good. Like when Zato gets I forget the actor's name, but when he gets something to work with, it works. you
Russell
know?
Curry?
Is that his name?
Sounds about right.
Maybe. I know that he was just at a convention near my house this past weekend.
Oh, nice.
But I did not go, unfortunately, but I saw pictures of him there. So now I know that he is in America and doing conventions. So I think for a while it was unclear. And I think there's some other Dino Charge actors, Dino Fury actors that are like unofficially here because there's a con coming up that has like some secret guests, and it's Pasadena Comic-Con. And so they've announced a few. They have Lost Galaxy Yellow, our buddy Campbell Cooley's going to be there. And then it has like 2 silhouetted Dino Fury characters, and one's like pink energy and one's like white energy. And it's like, we can't say who it is, but like, so some, if not all of the Dino Fury actors are back from filming and starting to do cons, which is interesting because it used to be that like, well, they'd be at official events sponsored by Nickelodeon or whatever, or they wouldn't show up at cons until after the season was all done. But I guess things are being done differently with Hasbro, and, or maybe this is the last season, so nobody cares anymore. But it definitely, having been in the con scene and watching Power Rangers the last couple of years, this is not how it normally goes.
Yeah.
And they're doing interviews and stuff, like, which, more power to them, but it's like there's something different this season.
I like to think optimistically. It's Hasbro going, hey, you know what a good way of hyping up our current series is? Letting the people on it talk to the public.
I would hope so. That would make sense. Yes. And maybe because of the situation of the world, there's not as many opportunities to have that big announcement that's officially sanctioned. So just get it out there however you can.
Yeah.
Okay. So now the next thing we see is these stupid commercials.
I would like to make a note while you're getting this queued up.
We got it ready. You go ahead.
I want to take all personal bias out of this.
Mm-hmm.
The best part of this entire episode is Slither.
I agree. And taking personal bias out of it, because of I think the best part of this episode is the humor. Excepting J-Borg and Jane. The Rangers have some good lines, and Slither has some good lines. And
Slither is the best lines in the episode.
Yeah, but Slither inherently is a more funny character. And so what works, and again, it's even weirder that they had J-Borg and Jane doing whatever. But yes, I agree. However, what I found weird about this episode, you know what? I think the humor is just blinding me through the rest of the episode, because honestly, I was thinking of giving it like a B, and the more we talk, that grade is going down.
Giving it a B is insulting to all other better episodes.
No, you're right. But I think I just enjoyed the humor so much, and they almost always get humor wrong. So the fact they've been getting it right, but look, Slither's giving his little speech here. But look what's going on in the background. You see Void Knight. This is weird for a couple reasons. We hardly ever see Void Knight. He's always in there looking at his wife or whoever that is. And then he comes out angry and tells them their plan is stupid and they're all idiots. He's out there already. Not only is he out there, but he's not yelling, and he defends Trawler. When Slither's like, Nets, that's stupid, and he's like, Nets aren't stupid. It's like, who are you now that's defending some nobody that just showed up? And his pose. He's like, he looks like the Joker when he's bored. He's like, oh, I'm just so over all this. Like, kind of like what I was saying with Jane. I feel like this Void Knight is a completely different character.
Yes.
And it makes me wonder, and I'm pretty sure this is all American footage, because I think somebody said this set they're on is American.
Yeah.
And so that means it's not like, I don't know. I was going to say maybe it was shot out of order, or like maybe we're seeing, I don't know. I feel like there should have been an event between what we saw Void Knight and what we're seeing now. It's a weird transition that I don't understand. And it happens again later in the episode.
Yep. I do like how Slither at first seems like he's hyping him up, and then Void Knight's like, quit being so rude to him. He's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
He's the best. And then he's like, okay, quiet. The adults are talking.
Yeah, it's weird. It's the whole thing was very weird. Yeah, and his poses, like, look at this pose. Like, it doesn't, I'm not against this pose. Like, it's the way the suit actor is acting. I've seen villains and heroes. Like, it's interesting.
We just have not seen Void Knight do it.
Never. He comes off more as this brutish, I'm going to smash things up. I'm sick of you. And like, now he's like, oh, interesting. Like what is going on? And that's why I would say it would make more sense if it was Sentai footage, because then they just have to work with what they have. But I think this is American footage, which is even weirder. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
Inconsistencies are inconsistent. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. Yes.
So they came up. They make a note of like, if you have a big enough net, you could catch a big fish. Which you're
Yes.
like, oh, I think the Gold Ranger Zord is kind of like a big fish.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's
mean,
interesting to say that. And then
that's fine. That's good foreshadowing, especially.
no,
for
I
the
know. I'm
Ranger
just
series.
saying like it's one of those like, I wonder what they're gonna do.
Right.
It is interesting that they are like, oh, look at this news article about like what's happening, and then
That
the
just
monster
happens
gets
to be, yeah.
yeah, the monster gets mad that he isn't featured, and then Slither comes up with another plan, going, you know who's kind of dumb? Most of the Rangers sometimes. You know what'll work? Baiting the Rangers into a plan that'll work.
Yes. And then we see that plan acted out here by Jay Borga Jane. Hey, look, there's a Power Rangers beach party someone's throwing. And of course, Ion wants to go because he's got a big head at this point. And the other Rangers like, hey, that could be fun, whatever. And they have their discussion. And basically, Zato, being the reasonable one, is like, okay, I guess it makes sense to go as civilians in case something goes wrong, but we won't show up as Power Rangers because that's going to cause problems. And so they all go. And it seems like Zato is the most reasonable, Ion is the idiot, and everyone else is somewhere in between, which makes sense based on what we've seen about him so far.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One thing that I would like humor wise is if in one of the future episodes, maybe in season 2, Jane's like, those guys' friends come here for lunch a lot. Because only like 3 of them work there, I think.
That's true. That would be funny. But then Jane would have to be a good boss who's paying attention to things, and that it doesn't seem
No,
to be
that episode she is. The next episode will be Bulk in the Bulk and Skull duo.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, so they go there, and interesting thing. Going back, let me move up a little bit here. Going back to the earlier episode with oh my god, what's Javi's sister's name? The Green Ranger.
I remember the actress's name.
Ranger. Okay, the Green Ranger, where it focused on her being either a lesbian or bisexual. She's involved in a relationship with another woman. The only reason I bring that up is because sexual diversity has been a topic talked about a lot, and like that was a big deal and stuff. In this crowd scene, in the voiceover, were you paying attention to?
I was.
So you know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, there's 2 guys talking. They're like, "Oh, look at the Black Ranger. He's really cool. I bet he's pretty cute too."
Yeah. And I thought that was cool and understated. And I actually backed up and looked at the closed captions on Netflix, and it said "man" too. And I was like, that's interesting. That's like just including some diversity without making like a big thing of it. Like I didn't expect that, and that was kind of just cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, that's all I had to say about that.
This is another. I feel like this episode took a lot of concepts from Mighty Morphin and then just did them poorly. The runaway cart was taken from season 2, and then this, I forget what episode it is, but there is a thing where all the Rangers go to like this public like event, like praising them, and they like cut the ribbon to the city or something. I don't know, but all the Rangers show up to a public event like this,
right?
And for this, I like everything except for Ion. I feel like Ion is another one of those characters. He came in, was kind of cool, didn't love the voiceover, but, kind of just came in and did stuff. And then each episode, they're like, you know what? We kind of need to take the heat off of the Blue Ranger from kind of being a dirtbag sometimes. So we're just going to make you a bumbling Ranger the rest of the time.
That's weird. It's like they vacillate between we got to make him this awesome kick-ass extreme guy because he's the 6th Ranger, and like you said, just oh no, he doesn't know what he's doing, and like it's weird. It's weird. And here's the thing. It would make sense if he just got these powers and he's a young guy and he's like, because he was like, oh, I'm awesome. Oh, I made a mistake. But they've established that he used to fight in wars with Zato and he was part of an organized army. And like, so it's just like Zato feels like that. Like he laughs and stuff, but he like takes it seriously and all the other people are teenagers or 20 somethings that just got their powers, but they're treating Ion like he's an Earth human that's like 20 that just got these powers when he's not. He's a soldier.
I want to make a note that I just realized. The last episode, he revealed to the team, hey, Zato made a poor decision. I am the leader now.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, sounds good. In this episode, he goes, free ice cream for life. By the way, I'm listening to none of you.
Yes. So the character that Slither becomes, unfortunately, is not Campbell Cooley again. Which would have been cool if it was. And then for half a second, when it was the far shot and he had the glasses and the hat and a shaved face, I'm like, maybe that's him. Maybe he's shaved. I don't know. You know, but
Yeah,
like, oh,
same
no,
thing. I thought.
as soon as he started talking, I was like, oh no. But if you can't be Campbell Cooley, why not be? And I'm going to say this name probably a little wrong. Adam Gardner, but it has like an I in it, so it might be Gardiner or something, who is another prominent voice actor that's done many voices in Power Rangers, including, most notably, at least to me, Sledge from Dino Charge.
Nice.
So, okay, cool. You're giving a voice actor some face time. I can't be that upset. I would have thought it'd be cooler if Campbell just kept coming back as different characters. But if it's got to not be him, then yeah, why not bring back some other alumni? So that was cool.
Agreed. Slither seems like one of the best villains just because of the incompetence that the Rangers provide each time his plans go.
But he's also a good fighter. Like, as much as he's goofy,
He is.
in his fights, like he's not. You know, he could take on several Rangers at once and be fine. Like, you never get the feeling that he's like, oh no, you know, he's not.
There have been 2 different times he's gotten the Gold Ranger Zord.
Yeah, I would weirdly. Slither reminds me. Not at all in the type of character he, like his personality, but of Goldar, in the sense that he is like a second in command that is actually a competent fighter and has, like, you know, kind of might be a better leader than the actual leader if given a chance, possibly, maybe, you know, he's just
You're
like
talking about season 1 Goldar.
yes.
Okay.
So like they're very, very different characters, but just that, like, very rarely do you see competent fighter generals that stick around, and, like, you know, usually it's not like that. And there's probably other examples people can give, but that's just what it made me think of.
So they go into this and they're like, hey, we need to keep a low profile. Good subtle humor again. Ion starts yelling, and then Zato just goes, that is not keeping a low profile.
Yes. And even better, when he says, like, oh, where's the other Rangers? Can you at least call your Zord? And he's like, oh, I don't know if I should call my Zord. And Zato reasonably says, like, don't worry, he's not gonna call his Zord. It's not gonna. And then he face palms. I don't know if I missed that already, but he definitely face palms.
No, it's coming in a sec. Yeah. He's like, send in the Zord.
Yeah.
So the other thing I found curious here is, from my understanding before this, every time they call in a Zord, I feel like it needs to be from Zolon.
Yeah, Zolon. Sorry.
So I guess Zolon is just assuming he needs it, which is why she would send it, and not just like, hey, bring the Zord out.
That was my thought too, that it was just not being monitored and just like, oh, he needs it. I can't second guess in the heat of a battle or whatever.
Yeah.
But I can't find. He literally does a face palm, which I'm having trouble finding. But then he also goes, he's not going to do it, so he just did it. Yeah, Zato. Like, I agree, Slither's doing good, but Zato has got some good stuff in this episode.
Yeah, I agree. And then we see Claw Monster Supreme Boatman come out to fight. He, you know, gets ginormous, I believe.
No, that comes later.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Yeah, hold on. I'm moving him. No, actually, he doesn't fight. They run away because they immediately catch the gold Zord. He shoots a net on it, and then Slither and him are like, hey, if you follow us, we're going to destroy it. So see you later. That's what happens. And then now the Gold Ranger's like, hey guys, I think I might have messed up a little bit here. Yeah, and they're like, yeah, man, you did. Yes, you did.
You definitely did poorly. Hey, we can't morph in public, so we're gonna stand with the Gold Ranger very close in a familiar way.
Yeah, everyone's like, boy, they're just really brave and like to help people. Like, you know. Now, this scene with the Zord is mostly CGI. It's all CGI, but I mean, there's a set, there's a location. Is it the best I've ever seen in my life? No, but it's solid. It's good. It's fine. And considering some of the bad stuff we've seen, I took note that, like, hey, this Zord CGI is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
That's all.
I love this whole scene.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff here.
Again, going back to Void Knight not being Void Knight, he comes in and is normal Void Knight angry, but also not reasonable, where Slither's like, hey man, like,
look behind you.
I have a giant Zord that you should hear splashing in the water right now. Oh, why didn't you say so? It's like, all right.
Yeah. It's weird. Everything you just said, but also on a more base level, why is Void Knight showing up to them? He sits in base and they come back and report in. It's weird. It's weird.
Another thing that disappointed me in this episode. So Void Knight showing up, I agree with everything you said, but I took it as, oh, they're gonna hypnotize the Zord. Void Knight's gonna pilot it, and then we get the classic Zord versus Zord fight.
No, the hypnotism never even worked, which I kind of
don't.
like.
We don't get that. We get none of that actually. Not even one part of that happens.
No, but I do like going back to Slither. I do like that he's like talking about he's not saying I want you to work for me. He's not saying I want to destroy something. He's like, just be evil, which arguably could be why it's not working. That's a very nebulous, subjective term. But in his list of like be evil, he's like, don't tip your waitress, and what was the other thing he said?
Leave the toilet seat up. I actually laughed when he said that.
Yeah, I thought that was funny because it's also like that's Slither's idea of evil. Okay, like fair enough, I guess. So, you know, they have the talk back in the base, and Ion again is like, what are we going to do? And it's like, don't worry, you know, we forgive you. Everybody makes mistakes. The four of us are going to go take care of this new threat. You and Javi take this invisibility key that we're going to act like is something we use all the time.
I'm sorry, which key? The key that we've seen so many times before? The MacGuffin key, number 8?
Yeah, Inviso Dino. Like, I can't even, it's just such a part of the show, it doesn't even matter anymore. But
I hate the keys now. I officially don't like them.
I don't like them either, but I've not liked them so much it's like not worth mentioning anymore.
I'm like 2 levels behind you where I'm currently not liking them in the upsetting way. I haven't officially given up hope yet.
I am now where you were with Jay Borg and Jane. I just got there.
Yeah.
Okay, now watch this. All 4 of the Rangers show up, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then they switch position. You see them switch position. And it looks like Pink is coming out front, right? So I figure, they're going to let her do it's morphin time. But nope, they cut back over to Zato. He says it's morphin time. Okay. And then this angle, okay, Pink's a little more prominent again. Then we get a hero shot of Pink doing it. The hero shot close up, another hero shot of Pink. It was all about Pink.
Until it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand, like, nothing against Pink, but it wasn't an episode focused on her. It wasn't like she was calling her Zord. It wasn't like she was the leader of the team in that moment. It wasn't even like she got to say it's morphing time. It was weird. It was filmed as though in those episodes were like, this was her focused episode and she got to say it's morphing time. And like, but it wasn't. It was very odd. And like, especially at the beginning when they switched positions, I'm like, why did they even do that? That made no, like, and if it's okay, they need to match up with some Sentai footage, then have the American actors or the New Zealand, whatever, the English actors move into that position. It was just very odd to me. But because I was paying such close attention to such ridiculous blocking choreography, I did notice for the first time, all of these guys punch the ground. She double hand pounds the ground like Wild Force.
Oh, style. Green, yeah.
Yeah, did you ever notice that? Watch. Boom.
I think I did notice that. And
I don't know what Black and Gold do, but I did wonder, like, is she the only one that has that like extra oomph for some reason? And I couldn't figure out. I'm like, well, it has nothing to do with the animals because, I mean, maybe it does. Maybe because hers is
tiger. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But it was just interesting, and I wondered, like, is that like an actor choice, or like, I wonder if there's a reason behind that beyond just is, you know?
Yeah, I have a feeling it was an actor choice, but I don't know.
Maybe. Although I feel like they must. I mean, that's choreography, right? I mean, they must give them a fair amount of like direction on that.
Not sure. They have a fight. It's okay. It's Sentai footage. It's not bad. It's nothing groundbreaking. Right. Black and Gold hatch their plan of you be really distracting to Slither, and I'm going to invisibly take everybody down that isn't Slither, which is reasonable, but I'm like, I feel like you could do a little more than that, but okay.
Yeah.
We'll
I mean, he could have attacked Slither too, really.
Could have just done all these things, but sure. Yeah. Also, this key is very OP. And I don't like that it's introduced simply for that reason.
And we'll never see it again. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Or if we do, it'll not be as effective. So now he starts attacking, and Slither tries to call the henchman, and he's like, oh, where'd they go? I do like Slither has a line here. Is this the one you were talking about that you liked?
Probably.
He's like, my patience is tested. Like, because you're like, I don't know. It was an interesting way to say that. Like, you're testing my patience, but he just says, my patience is tested or has been tested. And that's when he started the fight.
There was that. And then he did up to 4 of like something of like drat, but I forget what he said.
Oh, yeah, the fight narration. Yes. And then he was like double and triple. And was it drat? Curses?
Yeah, it was like quadruple
I know exactly what you're talking about. But now I can't
foiled or
remember.
something.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I
But
did
yeah,
like that because I was like, are they going to keep this bit going? And they did.
yeah,
Full
they did.
props.
I absolutely agree. I also like when they have him mostly defeated, and then they bring the other Zord in, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, I have this new Zord combination that I'm gonna put together." And he's like, "Or don't try that as well." Like,
Yeah.
it's like, again, that's funny.
I did appreciate that he burned the water Zord to get the
Yes.
net off. I will accept that. We are
Yep.
good there.
Yes.
Then pausing here, I like that they introduced, hey, I made my own Zord combination. Javi goes, oh, I didn't know we could do that. And then I was like, this is going to be a really cool looking Zord combination.
No, it's
And
not.
I guess they're relating it to the children that are targeted for the show because it looks like a pile of garbage.
Wait, hold on. By the transitive property, did you just call the children piles of garbage?
No, I'm saying being a former child who made their own Zord combinations or things like that, they're not always the most aesthetically pleasing, and your head canon kind of makes up for that. And that's kind of what he did here. He's like, look at this weird cross-armed fire electric monster thing, and you're like,
Yeah,
why though?
I like the concept. Here it is. I like the concept that they're making a Zord, a Megazord, if you will, out of just two.
Yeah,
And I like, but it is like, yeah, it's like for a second here, it didn't look too bad.
no, it looks god awful.
No, I mean, but it does. No, but it gets worse. Is more my point. When you see a better look of him, it looks like sort of an alligator with a bunch of other stuff under it. Like, hold on, I can't get a good shot of it. Anyway, I agree. It doesn't look good.
Also, another thing that we introduce in this scene is he uses this levitation key where he can lift a whole Zord. Where I'm like, why are you guys not fighting giant Sporix with your keys? That would be honestly way cooler than some of the things you do instead.
If they were running kind of like the X-Men fighting a Sentinel or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The keys are ridiculous. I know they're to sell toys, and that's fine, but
No, they're not even doing that well.
Well, in Japan, they were to sell toys.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
I also like when he runs by, though. Like, I like the concept that he designed these Zord of these two. It looks like garbage. And then Javi says, how do you design a Zord? Now, that may or may not go anywhere, but I like that he commented on, like, what?
I agree. I like the comment there.
Yeah.
The Zord looks like hot garbage. We already established that his Plesio, whatever Razor Zord, can be in a warrior mode.
Yes.
And we've established that the Fire Zord can be brought on as armor.
Yes.
And you made this weird snake thing.
For some reason. Now, this is another weird thing that this must be Sentai. They use the rain to burn the net off of the Megazord. And for something, I didn't talk about this, but for some reason, I like the way the net looked in the Megazord. It was kind of cool.
They use the fire to burn it, and then they're like, the Zord's burning up. And then they're like, here's this MacGuffin rain key.
Mist spritz is what they call it. Not even rain. Mist spritz. What? Okay. Yeah, terrible. I will give a little bit of pass that there must have been some weird Sentai thing going on there that wasn't going on in this episode, because it really was just like, I don't know. And then mist spritz, like, fine, whatever. It does seem like when they shoot fire that the suit that Trawler's in, either that's very good CGI or they actually had a bar on fire on him.
Very good CGI.
You think it was very good CGI? Which
Yes.
Maybe it's so shocking in this show that I'm like, it must be real. Like, the sword movement, again, every time they do it and it matches what the Zord does, I love it.
It did mildly bother me that no one was either outside of the Zord kind of directing this atrocity or were inside of it directing the atrocity.
Oh, yeah. You're right. I didn't even notice.
It was kind of sentient, which then begs the question again, what are you guys doing?
That I agree, but we've seen that in many Power Ranger seasons where they're like sort of sentient. They could kind of fight on their own.
Which is fine, but then why are you getting in the big one if you're already not needed? Seems like you should spread your resources a bit and use your.
I don't know if this has been said or if I'm making this up, but I always thought it was a thing of like, even when they could fight on their own, it's a thing of like, well, but when there's a pilot inside, they're lending their power. So like you have this Power Ranger power, and if there's 6 of you, you're juicing it up and making it even stronger.
I guess
that's kind of what I thought happens, but I don't know if I made that up or not. That's just
the other thing I like is Javi's involved and he's like, nah, my Zord can sit this out. We already have 6 Zords here.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I guess.
Here's going back to Gold being this weird kind of character where they're trying to make him awesome, even though he's like kind of not. I don't know. Like he's like, I'll get the Sporix, and so he jumps out and like flies through the air and catches it and lands. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. Super extreme, unnecessary, go. Yet other episodes, when there are active live villains, they're like, oh, I wonder where it went. Like this was so unnecessary. And I feel like it's just them trying to drive home. Look, he's the cool Sixth Ranger, but like, I don't know. It's just weird. It's
You know what else would have been easy? If he saw it the whole time by not being in that Zord.
that too.
Then they go back to the ice cream and there's this long line and he instantly learned his lesson. And not only did he learn his lesson, he flipped it where he's like, I will work for you for free, so this line is shorter, sir.
You know what? That doesn't bother me. That's classic Power Ranger stuff. And that's classic Power Ranger overachiever. I'm going to be in every club there is and help everybody. And, you know, that the Rangers would jump back and help Ernie and whatever. That's fine. What I didn't like was that his idea of helping was he's like, how can I help you, miss? And again, how does he know to operate? Who knows? He's an alien Power Ranger, but somebody, fine, whatever. How can I help you? And he names 3 flavors. He just starts. I would be so annoyed if I'm like, hey, can I have some ice cream? And someone's just like, here's the flavors that we like. I know what flavor I want, or I'll ask you.
Continue, and then I have a funny.
But then, and I forget the flavors he said. But it wasn't like vanilla, strawberry, chocolate. He was like, do you want Ripple Blaster or Choco Maco or Blueberry Blopper? Like 3 really weird specific ones that like not everyone's going to like. And he's like, oh, or wait, you want one of each? And she's like, yes, you read my mind. No way. What? No way. He gets these 3 weird flavors. And also a cart that size wouldn't have that many flavors, but I'll let that go. What's your take on that?
So I can't pinpoint the time, but I've seen that happen to you and have it miserably fail at least twice that I can think of. One I believe involved food. One I believe involved us at like a show or a store where somebody's like, oh, I bet you, look at that shirt. I bet you love this thing. And you're like, I actually don't at all.
Yeah.
Or like we went to a restaurant. It's like, I bet this guy's getting the double bacon cheeseburger. And you're like, I would like a quesadilla because I'm a vegetarian. And they're like, all right, couldn't be more wrong.
It's weird. Yeah, the assumptions are weird. And you're in sales. Like, I assume you wouldn't just like, it just seems like a weird sales technique to do, right? I mean, that's.
Yeah, I mean, I have my own style of selling. I usually like to see what people are into and then kind of go off of there and not go, it's great. These 3 things, get them all together, pay all the monies. You're here for ice cream, aren't you? Why aren't you buying this ice cream triple scoop? Go away. Like,
the only thing more, and the thing is, that's vaguely believable, I guess, because he's a bad salesman. But then she's like, yep. It's like, really? You want those 3 weirdly distinct flavors and all together? I have trouble with that. So, yeah, this episode is not as good as I thought it was. You've convinced me. Yep. Forgetting about Jay Borg and Jane, the humor was very good. Yep. One of the best. And that counts for a lot, but I guess it made me forget a lot of the other stuff. Here's something interesting too. Jay Borg and Jane never came back. Usually the comic relief will come back at the end and have like also us, but they didn't do that, which is fine, but it's like, I don't know.
I almost would have preferred they had a thing, so it would have mildly redeemed the first thing, like Jay Borg wants some more ice cream. No, maybe I better not.
Yeah. It's forever. Saban was to blame, because Saban supposedly Saban had some edict that there had to be these comedic characters and they had the jokes. Like that was something in like the general Bible of how Power Rangers worked is what has been reported. And so the idea was that like, oh, well, now that Hasbro's in charge, they could spread it around and they don't have to do that. And I guess they have spread it around more, but they're still have. So like, who is deciding they're in there? I don't like it. I don't know why they need to have that. And yeah, it's just, and Ben and Betty were better, but Ben and Betty weren't the best examples we've ever seen either. So it's like, I don't know.
I thought of one season that actually didn't have any.
Overdrive?
Well, we haven't gotten that far. All of them are terrible comic relief. No, Dino Charge. I guess Coda was technically it.
Yeah, I mean, they would. Well, that's it. They would, and they would have other jokes from time to time. But yeah, I think you're right. And another Well, I was thinking Jungle Fury had Fran. She was just one.
And RJ before he was a ranger.
but,
Actually, a little bit of both.
but RJ was not like the comic relief character. He was a character that was funny.
He was comic relief. He just wasn't slapstick.
I guess here's the problem is like there are characters that are funny in Power Rangers or whatever else, and I like that. Anytime a character is the comic relief, that can also be funny. I guess to be fair, like, but in Power Rangers, I feel like when they say this is the funny character, they are not funny.
Yeah, I mean, another example, RPM had Ziggy.
Ziggy was good though.
But
if you have,
I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm saying I'm naming good seasons that we liked.
What's the common denominator here? Ziggy and RJ were both Rangers. Coda was a Ranger.
Yeah.
If they're a superhero and they're doing all this cool stuff and they're a main part of the team and you get to know about the character and they're also funny, that works. But when it's this little side character injected, yeah, I know, but it does. I don't know. But I did like Bulk in Samurai a lot, but is that just sentimentality? I don't know.
Mostly.
Yeah.
Also, he's just great at chewing up scenery, so that helped significantly. But no, like obviously we have seasons where the quote comic relief characters are good and they or hit or miss, but then other seasons prove that you don't need it, and we just named 3 of our favorite seasons where they weren't involved.
Yeah.
SPD, I guess technically had Piggy.
Yeah, Piggy
and who was Green Ranger's name again?
Bridge.
Bridge, yeah.
But again, Bridge, I liked Bridge. Piggy wasn't my favorite, but I didn't hate him. And I like Bridge a lot.
You did hate Piggy. We just didn't see him all the time.
I guess when I think of that, I'm not like Piggy ruined that season.
But that's my point, is like all of these seasons, do that humor or similar to it. Evolve on that humor. Don't give us Victor and Monty, which is arguably the worst until now. I mean,
I don't know. Yeah.
What are you giving this episode?
I was coming in with a B.
I know, which was way too high.
I'm still gonna give it a C because they got the humor good when there was things I liked about it. The humor. I liked the humor. C minus. Maybe I should get, but the Void Knight stuff was terrible. Okay, C minus.
Okay.
What are you giving it?
D plus.
I guess it's good I came down
so,
from a B.
So here's why. So I agree with you. All of the humor was good. To me, it was outweighed by the new 6 Ranger that we should care about being the coolest guy ever is a total dolt in 3 episodes. And I don't care about him because you guys made him so inconsistent. And then 2 of the main characters in the series from both the civilian side and the evil side are grossly inconsistent as well. And the only person that was on brand was Slither.
Yeah.
And I really liked Zato in this, but they didn't give Zato enough either. They gave him like 3 10-second intervals to say something smart and peak Zato that we like, and then they're like, by the way, his friend from 65 million years ago is a moron.
Yeah.
Here you go.
It is, again, sometimes talking through these things, because when I reminded myself by telling you and the audience, he's a soldier. He's trained. He's been in battles. He's had power. This isn't new to him. So it is, and he does, to be fair, he does say, back on our planet, we never got this, meaning the fame or the idolization or whatever. Fine. But it's still okay, but you're going to be dumb enough dumb strategic moves. I don't know. Yeah. Next week, we're gonna we originally were gonna go back to doing some Indie Toku next week, and we are gonna go back doing Indie Toku, but not next week. We're also not gonna watch episode whatever 17 comes next. Next week we are going to watch the Christmas episode.
Yep.
So we're gonna skip right to the end. Hopefully it won't have too many spoilers, but that's what we're gonna be doing next week. But for this week we are done. Unless you had anything else you wanted to throw out.
I do. On Friday we had the HasCon Power Ranger panel, which, spoiler alert, we only watched the first half, and you didn't learn a lot except for 2 things. One, how much the Zord something project,
the new Megazord project.
Yeah. They showed it off. It looks cool. Neither of us are buying it. It's $170.
Somebody wants it.
Yeah.
Somebody that doesn't have a good Megazord already, or that buys every Megazord there is.
Yeah. Good on you. The other cool thing that I actually haven't talked to you about is they revealed Red Ecliptor.
Oh, yes, I saw that. That's interesting. I don't
Yep.
know if I'm going to get it or not.
I think
It's-
I might.
It's a cool repaint. It makes sense. I'm glad they're doing it. I wanted when they released they announced the second Astronema. I'm like, definitely, I want another. Like, and actually, I would take a third Astronema where she has that little pixie cut and stuff. But the Red Ecliptor, I guess if they put him out with the pixie cut Astronema, I'll get it.
They're already single release. They already confirmed.
Okay. Well, I'm not saying I won't get it, but I don't feel like I need it. You know what I mean?
Fair.
Like I need
100%
regular.
fair.
That one will be like if I see it on sale, if the mood strikes me, but I'm not like pre-ordering it. But it is a cool repaint that isn't just like, oh, it makes sense, and I think it's cool.
Another thing, I haven't watched. They had a whole second half of it that was all based around the Boom comics,
Well,
and I'm still behind. But one thing that isn't really spoilery to either of us, because it's a thing that'll happen, is they're making canon the Die Ranger suits, and there's a whole team of them.
Yeah.
And the thing that I like, and we can debate it because I also don't know, is their Sixth Ranger is the Phantom Ranger, but he's in all white and gold.
I didn't see that.
I saw it on a cover.
Oh, so it's the design of the Phantom Ranger, but the colors are different.
No, it's the Phantom Ranger.
How is he in white and gold?
Thank you. I also don't know.
Wait, okay. I didn't see this. What I'm picturing is like I don't know if you can see the Phantom Ranger over there. Yeah, right there.
Yes.
That suit, that exact suit, but instead of black and silver, white and gold.
Yes.
Okay, okay, fine.
But it's a team that was pre-Mighty Morphin.
Yes.
Which is why it's white and gold. And I have my headcanon theories. And then the current Phantom Ranger is the one that's behind you.
Yes. The fact that it's in his past is fine because he's a character that has a lot of mystery and like who knows. And I did not read the graphic novel that he's in yet. Have you read that?
It's a single issue.
Okay, but have you read it?
I have.
And so does it contradict anything? Does anything in there contradict what you're saying about this other version of him?
No.
So there you go. I mean, you have a character that has a mysterious past. Either this fills in some gaps or you find out that it's a different Phantom Ranger or whatever. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with all of that.
So go for it.
I would love a white and gold Phantom Ranger figure in the Lightning Collection, and I would even more love some Die Ranger figures in the Lightning Collection.
I agree 100%. What I think, this is my headcanon, because obviously Phantom Ranger has ties to Zordon, which we know through the show.
Yes.
What I think is Phantom Ranger was white and gold.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened that turned him into the Phantom Ranger we know. Zordon is somehow involved, and that was the basis for the Mighty Morphin White Ranger.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Which is what I hope.
And the Phantom Ranger is sort of like the
proto White Ranger.
Right, but the Phantom Ranger we know is sort of like the shadow of his former self kind of Ranger now or whatever.
Yeah,
maybe.
So that's my hope. But Ryan Parrott, shout out to you because I'm loving what you're putting out, man.
Yeah. Yeah, Ryan. You might have a name that sounds like a bird, but you soar like an eagle. What? I don't know what that means. That's also a bird. Anyway, I've been Gazbot.
I continue to be the Big Dawg Defender.
And to the
power.
See ya.
I actually drove by the street and told my friend, hey, I shot a lot of footage over here once, many moons ago.
I didn't unmute myself.
I noticed.
Was he like, why would you do that? Does he know about the show?
He knows about the show, and I was like, this is our end credits. And he's like, I'll be honest, I don't watch a lot of your show. I was like, well, that's rude, but I understand.
I'll be honest, I don't watch a lot of our show either.
I told him the same thing. I was like, I'll be honest with you, I don't watch a lot of it, but I do read the comments, so.
Yeah,